Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1978's Emmanuelle and the White Slave Trade. This is Emmanuelle and the White Slave Trade put out by Severin Films and Severin Distribution. This is the back of the DVD here. This is actually very rare. It was once included in one of their Black Emmanuelle box sets. They did release two of them, and they're grossly out of print. And these individual films are now pretty out of print as well. You can find them used sometimes, sometimes new, sometimes higher priced, Amazon, eBay, so on and so forth. But they're harder to get. I previously reviewed Emmanuelle Goes to America on this YouTube page, and now we're doing another entry in the Black Emmanuelle series, 1978's Emmanuelle and the White Slave Trade. Of course, it stars the center point, Miss Laura Gemser, and that is her right there, Miss Black Emmanuelle herself. So let's get into this film here. The Black Emmanuelle series, you never know the travel destinations that you are going to, and you never know the people that you will meet and the mystery and sexual situations that you will encounter. So let's get into it. And violent situations as well, as we will see in this review. We go to Nairobi in this film and also have various connections to America. We have an interesting reclusive man that Miss Black Emmanuelle herself is trying to reach, trying to get a sacred interview with. We have a friendship in Nairobi that Black Emmanuelle has with a white woman, and this woman's fake car service adventures. You'll see what I mean when you watch the film. We have the mystery of a woman in a wheelchair that envelops from the beginning of the film, then goes on to the rest of the film as things get thoroughly unpacked. We have human trafficking, obviously, in this film from the title. We have a whorehouse. We have a transvestite. We have Black Emmanuelle going undercover and escaping at the same time, and we even have lobotomies in this film. Wow, my gosh, some wild, wild stuff here. So let's get into this movie here. We have a variety of things. You're going to see my eyes divert up here with some notes that I wrote. There's a lot of different things here going on in this film, and the film itself is 89 minutes long, and what a packed 89 minutes it is in this part of the Black Emmanuelle series. We have a shower lesbian scene in this film where hands are kind of going into the butt or caressing the butt a bit. We have a wild safari sequence involving a hot air balloon and a moving van and real animals. We have wild editing in this film by Joe D'Amato, who directs this film, and he directed a lot of the Black Emmanuelle series. And Joe D'Amato here is doing something that is really wild with his editing. He's doing some edits that you can see in the safari sequence of this film that are timeless, that are moving time rather surreally and rapidly at the same time, not showing the in between the cuts, if you understand what I'm saying, but just moving and cutting from the hot air balloon, then they're on the ground, then they're in the hot air balloon, then they're on the ground. They didn't actually go back and forth from the hot air balloon to the ground, you don't think, but he's moving into his own version of time here. We have great shots of 42nd Street, New York City in this film. Excellent, excellent shots. We have a wild photo lab, dark room, red light sex in this film as well. We have a weird point of view shot at an airport. Very bizarre. I've never seen that really in the Black Emmanuelle series so far, but even in a Joe D'Amato film, all of a sudden it just switches to point of view shot. Very weird. Taking Black Emmanuelle's point of view, I believe. A mysterious secret garden whorehouse. Yes, I'm referring to the famous children's story, Secret Garden. Kind of has that vibe to this whorehouse, and very mysterious goings-ons and rules that you have about attending, moving past the garden, moving past the grounds. We have wild mirror shots in this film, and Joe D'Amato is also doing another staple of him of ground up, filming from the ground up shots, making things look rather large, almost giving it a wide-angle lens type vibe to it. We have a threesome in this film that is both real and surreal. It's both. It's both real and surreal, and involving drugs, the smoking kind. We have some stripping in this film and dance stripping sequences, the white slave market as well, a transvestite rape, yet not a transvestite. You'll see what I mean. We have a wild nurse scene in the film that has a bit of darkness, mystery, and violence to it. We have masturbation in this film, voyeurism in mirrors, and hands definitely on the genitalia or vaginas in particular. This is a soft movie, soft core sexploitation film, but definitely kind of sometimes goes in between soft and hard just in terms of the masturbation sequences and faces kind of going down there, but not really seeing things, and no penetration and no gynecological type shots, but a little bit of the caressing and things like that, which kind of makes it, would definitely be NC-17 today. The thing that really starts to get wild in this movie, and I mentioned those ground up shots from Joe D'Amato. They are quite spectacular in this film. But one of the things that's really crazy is we have a gory death in this film. A bludgeoning of a head, that very gory, actually, with some blood and some brain matter, skull matter. We have a wild fighting sequence in this film, one person versus a group of people. We have Emmanuelle fighting and causing some violence in this film, and we have a gang rape in this film. If you know anything about the Black Emmanuelle series, she is a journalist, and she travels the world, and she is going out there capturing stories, capturing injustices, capturing things of interest, things that would make the headlines, and trying to appease her boss back in New York City, I believe. So she finds herself finding the injustices of women in this particular film. And I got to tell you, the composer Nico Fidenko does the music in this film as well. I think he does all the Black Emmanuelle series, pretty much. Not all of them, but a good number of them. And they're all released on CD, by the way, and even vinyl. So look out for them on Beat Records. You can find them on Amazon easily, and eBay for cheap prices, including the score to this film, which is a little bit more rare than the other ones, but you can still find it for cheap prices, and they're all limited edition scores. We have this great song at the beginning of the film called "Run Cheetah Run," and the song really has a 70s disco, suave, sexy, exotic vibe to the song. Run Cheetah, run Cheetah, run. It just has a great vibe to it. We have disco, funk, mystery, sleaze vibes in this film with the music. We have tropical sounding music, especially in the safari sequences. But we even have some darkness in the music, and even during a sex scene, which makes the scene that much more weird and interesting and something off kilter, something otherworldly. And so we're really finding here that the music is so diverse, and even having darkness in the music as well, which could even sound tense and horrific of sorts. So that's very, very interesting. And we have an ending in this film that really shows that this could never be a Hollywood film, that this could never get a mainstream release, and that this would never be made today and be in theaters today, other than the fact that it would be NC-17. Because the ending of this film really shows not only Black Emmanuelle's personhood and her character and her values and her worldview, but it has a strong female liberating worldview. But beyond that, also of taking control of her own sexuality, it is also something where she values the freedom of sexuality and the freedom of love, free love. Definitely a staple in the 70s sexual movements, but you can sense that, and in the jovial nature of a film like this that includes, sexual violence and horrific violence and very disturbing situations, yet wonderfully erotic sexual encounters. This predominantly one where Emmanuelle is with a older man, and an older woman is caressing a younger girl while watching the two of them in split screen kind of mirror sequences that were really well done, touching her vagina and things like that. So Emmanuelle is a journalist, and she is willing to have sex with anyone to get stories, and but she's also willing to use her body as commerce, but not in a begrudging way, but in a way that's very liberating for her and enjoyable for her. That is very controversial. That is very not politically correct, and it is. Very reminiscent of the times of the 70s and very reminiscent of the thought processes. And Black Emmanuel is not somebody who's for monogamy. She finds that restrictive and finds that not loving. She is somebody that we have the contrast of a woman who is experiencing this sexual freedom with her friends and with acquaintances and with people that she doesn't even know at all. But at the same time, in this film, she is also trying to help women and trying to free women from sexual bondage and violence. This is Emmanuel and the white slave trade. You got that paradox there. You got that paradox? That's a wild paradox. Here's the film. Beautiful artwork on the front of this DVD here, put out by Severin Films, of course starring Laura Gemser, and that's from 1978. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. You see films like this and you say, there are so many different vibes going on in this film. Is it dark? Is it light? Is it sexual? Is it hot and horny? Or is it disturbing? It's all of the above. And then it ends on a jovial, yet in our modern times, disturbing vibe. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good night.